Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm sorry for such a long delay, but here is the review of my Simgot EA500LM. I will call the LM for short from now. Before that, I would like to thank Simgot for providing this reviewing unit. I did try my best to not let this fact affect my overall evaluation of this IEM. So in the previous video, I've shown the unboxing experience of the LM, so I won't go through it again, but basically, this is all that it comes with. It includes a small case, 2 pairs of replacement nozzles with one already pre-installed, a bunch of O-rings, and 3 pairs of stock A-tips, the cable, and the IM itself. So SpinFit W1 is actually my go-to tips when using this IM, mainly because it fits me better. So fit-wise, I think it's pretty good. The LM has the exact same shell as the original EA500, just with a different color. It is still weighty and still a fingerprint magnet. The weight of it didn't bother me much. Like, I can fit the LM version just fine for many hours straight with decent isolation. As usual, my trusty sources for doing review are the E1DA9038D, the Ibasso DCU4 Pro, and the Chord Mojo. The LM is very easy to drive, but I think I like the Mojo the most with it. It gives the bass a little bit more texture and more life to the mid-range compared to the other two. As for the nozzles, I've decided to use the gold ones. The black one is actually the harshest between all three, so I didn't like it much. The red one sounds near identical to the gold ones, but the bass texture, even with the piece of foam inside of it, I think the gold one is better than the reds. The staging does suffer a little bit due to the piece of foam, but I think I can live with it. So sound-wise, I think the LM has a U-shape closer to V-shaped tonality, sort of like a harmonious tune with brighter upper mids. So about the bass, I would say it is above average, around 7 out of 10. It is sub bass over mid bass. It has high quantity to it. It's big, it's bold, and it has good tactility. But it doesn't have a lot of texture to it. The bass notes kind of feel like two-dimensional. Like Voice of Sirius of Hans Zimmer sounds good, but it is not too impressive. The sense of reverb or lingering decay of it is not as big as I wanted, even if the sub bass look quite big on the graph. As you can see here is the graph of the LM and the original EA500. As you can see, big bass is usually kind of fun, but when you have an upward rising sub bass roll off, it's sort of like masking or making everything around it feels kind of blurry. So weirdly enough, the sub bass doesn't even feel that deep, even if the graph said otherwise. Bass instruments here sounds unnatural when it doesn't have that normal roll-off of the EA500. So pairing the high sub bass like that with a lower mid bass, you would get a typical U-shaped bass sound. Going into the mid-range, the lack of note weight is immediately apparent due to how the bass was done. So male vocal sounds a bit thin, piano and violin sort of like lacking in body. It's not as thin as something with a mid-bass scoop, like the Moondrop variation, but you can notice it. So if you look at the graph, the bass shelf itself actually does not look like that bad, but when you pair it with a higher pinna gain, it actually hinders you from perceiving more of the bass, hence the lighter mid-bass impact feeling. So if you can look past the note weight issues, I think the mid-range is actually quite decent. Like, it is transparent, near neutral, and highly resolving. Female vocals are clear, forward, and although it is on the brighter and more fatiguing side when listening to higher volume. So personally, I would prefer a more lush, like more forgiving type of mid-range, but I think this is more suitable for those who listen to IM at mid-volume or modern pop fans, or fans of harmonious tuning of sort. Treble wise, it's good. I have no complaint about it. Like, it is energetic, airy, and well extended. Between all three nozzles, all of them are bright, but the foam inside the gold nozzle does tame the spiciness a little bit. Soundstage wise, I think the LM has a wide, spacious sense of stage, but with good height and depth. Imaging is also sounds adequate with good micro spacing from left to right, but although it is not mind-blowing. The AM is just an overall technically capable AM. Again, although the piece of foam inside the gold nozzle may cramp up the stage a little bit, taking it off may be a little bit better for the staging, but I find the tuning is more enjoyable when you leave the piece of foam inside the gold nozzle. So as for comparison, I would like to start with the EA500. Although I've sold it quite a while, I can remember it through my auditorial memories. So fundamentally, both of these sounds very different. The LM is not an upgrade version of the original, but so that spot is for the EA1000. The EA500 actually has a harsher tuning, especially in the upper mids to treble parts. The original has this metallic timbre or sibilant sound to it, while the LM does not. The LM overall has a more fun type of tuning due to the bass, as opposed to a more neutral, bright tuning of the EA500. The LM has a bigger but boomier bass, yet the original has a faster, tighter, and more tactile type of bass. The lower mid-range, as you can see here, sounds lusher on the original EA500. The upper mids on the graph is not, it's not too different, both on graph and in real life, but so other than the metallic timbre and the sibilant of the original, that is the main difference. So all in all, I enjoyed the mid-range of the LM version more. As for the treble, I think the LM wins just straight up. Like, it has better treble extension. It's airy but not too overbearing. Like, percussion instruments sounds natural without sounding too splashy like on the original. The LM also has a better soundstage, both in depth and in width, as well as improved imaging over the EA500. So that is for the EA500. Next, we will have the EA1000. Let's say you are someone who can get the LM for now, but also wish to get, or at least curious about the EA1000. So what are the differences between the two? In short, everything. Like, about the bass, the first thing I've noticed with the bass is actually the layering. The EA1000 has a more 3D sense with it, with more depth of sound. It has a better bass texture overall. The LM, on the other hand, sounds more two-dimensional. Sure, the LM has a little bit more sub-bass quantity, but for the overall bass reproduction, the EA1000 wins. Turning to the mids on the EA1000 sounds lusher, more natural, and the high notes of female vocals sounds less shouty. Instruments have a denser note weight to it. The EA1000 has higher treble detail, like it has higher energy around the 13K peak. The percussion instrument sounds crisper on the EA1000 due to it. So the EA1000 will hurt more on higher volume. Technicality wise, I think it is the total onslaught coming from the EA1000. The soundstage of the EA1000 is not that different, but the timbre, the layering, the imaging, and just the detail retrieval, it just straight better on the EA1000. Lastly, we will have the Oriveti OD100. So these two are competitors in the same price bracket. So right off the bat, the EA500LM is way easier and more comfortable to fit due to its ergonomic shape. The OD100, on the other hand, has this sort of bullet shape. I would have to use either foam tips or the Divinus velvet tips in order to get a better fit and seal. The cable on the OD100 is more well built and looks nicer. As for the sound, I like the EA500LM more. So the LM has more bass line with deeper sub-bass extension. The OD100 bass feels more pillowy, like it has a poof sensation to it. The note weight is a touch heftier on the OD100. Vocal on the OD100 feels way less refined. Like compared to the LM, it is honkier and more nasally on the OD100. So with louder volume, you can actually feel the shoutiness coming through it. Treble is less sparkly and less airy on the OD100. The LM just has a better treble extension and detail retrieval. Percussion instrument sounds have more shimmering to it on the LM. So I think the OD100 has crisper treble, but not by much. Soundstage is wider on the LM. The layering and the imaging is also better on the LM due to how well its bass and mid-range was done. So to recap, even with those faults that I've mentioned, I still think the LM is a very good or very capable IM with just a little bit of bass EQ, like you want to EQ the mid-range up a little bit, you would have a highly resolving IM with satisfying bass. In its stock form though, if you are looking for an IM that has a bombastic mid-bass, lush male vocal, and thick note weight with relaxing upper mid-range, this IM is not for you, alright? Whereas if you are looking for an IM that has a very clear tonality with good technicalities with a lot of details, but also has a fun factor to it, the EA500LM is the one I would recommend for under $100. So yeah, that is my review. Thank you for watching and see you guys next time.